most interesting stories in hacker history right up here on stage. I don't think you've ever all been on stage at the same time, so that's an amazing thing right there.
Fiber, I just want to ask a quick question. Yeah. Were you given an opportunity by the federal government to provide substantial assistance or any kind of assistance to them in providing information about others they might want to prosecute?
No, actually, I refuse to cooperate with the government completely.
Right. What I'm saying is, did they send you a proffer letter or anything like that?
No, they never sent me a letter or anything like that, because I made it clear early on through my attorney that I was not willing to cooperate, and my sentence was actually longer because of that fact. Yeah, I was willing to accept that.
I got a proffer letter as well, and I just did not respond to it. I'll take responsibility for my own actions. I will not speak for or about anyone else. They take They're vengeful about that. When you refuse, they take that personally.
It's a lot of pressure to put on people, and obviously a lot of people crack. We've seen that happen, and that's why there are so many informants in the community. I wish we'd given this panel 2 hours. We have another 30 minutes, but we have so much ground to cover. I'm sure you've all heard of the latest case, which probably many of you are here for, concerning the keynote speaker here at Hope, Julian Assange of WikiLeaks. And the interesting story that is behind that, where this kid in the Army was allegedly releasing classified information, including videotapes that were very damning to the U.S. military. What wound up happening, according to a report in Wired, is that this particular person in the Army befriended somebody within the hacker community and proceeded to tell him all kinds of interesting things. And that person in the hacker community felt compelled to turn him in. Now, I've been told by many, many people that it's insane to dive into this. That even though this is happening right here at Hope, that we have the keynote speaker running WikiLeaks involved in this, we have the person who turned in the person who leaked the information. The alleged, yes. Well, no, he did turn him in.
Oh, no, you turned in and you were about to...
I was getting to the alleged, yes. We have to use alleged all the time.
Be very clear.
I'm not a lawyer. So we have that person who has been attending the conference. Should we avoid the controversy, or should we dive right into it? I say, of course, we dive right into it. We confront this thing head on, right? But it involves a leap of faith, and I have that faith in you guys, being civil, listening, coming to your own conclusions, letting people who we may disagree with severely, have their say, so that we can judge for ourselves, and not just based on what we're told by our friends, what we're told in the mass media. I get into arguments with people on both sides of the spectrum, because I don't like being told how I should feel, what I should say. All right, I want to reach that conclusion myself, and that's going to involve asking questions of everybody. So, do we all agree that we're going to let this guy have his say in a civil manner? And I think we also need to acknowledge it takes a lot of balls to show up in a crowd that's potentially very hostile and stand your ground, no matter what you think of what he stands for or what he did. All right? Do we agree on that too? All right. With that, I'd like to introduce Adrian Lamo, and we'll let him say his piece, ask some questions, and hopefully learn something. Adrian. All right, you can boo. Go ahead. Let's go.
Good day, friends, neighbors, and opponents. Although I would say from the get-go, I don't feel that I'm the opponent of anybody in this crowd. You may feel differently, and I respect your right to do so. But before I dive into the WikiLeaks-related controversy, I want to go back to a story that is very similar to several of the ones that have been told here just now. In 2003, I was arrested by the FBI. I was given basically the same talk hey, you know what would really be cool if you added all of your friends to us as being career criminals. And I did not do that. You can hop onto Pacer and you can get the court transcripts, and what you will find is that I allocated responsibility because I believe people own their actions. Some of you may have been here last night for the screening of the film Hackers Wanted. What I was doing at that time is what I do believe Private First Class Manning was doing, which is acting one's conscience. In my case, I wanted to set a precedent whereby hackers could approach corporations and have the outcome be positive, have the outcome be one where corporations walked away saying, hey, you know what, that wasn't so bad. These hacker people can actually help us. They're not all out to get us. The New York Times Corporation disagreed. They pressed charges, as I always said that I did. I pled guilty because I was guilty. And that was my acceptance of responsibility. Fast forward a couple of years, one in a long series of people sent me a random instant message saying, hey, have a look at what I did. And I was like, yeah, cool, whatever, I'll get to that, because a lot of people do approach me with information about their ongoing computer hacking. When that hacking involves things that are actually genuinely cool and interesting, I'll say, hey, sure, tell me more, I'm interested. When it involves crimes, be they financial or otherwise hurtful to actual individuals in the real world, but not life-threatening, I'll tell them, hey, shut the hell up and let me put you in touch with this attorney I know. In this case, I didn't really have either of those two choices because the die was already cast. I was made aware that over 250,000 documents had been allegedly leaked that were classified State Department cables. They had been sent to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks had a presence here at this conference. I think that they gave an interesting talk. But conspicuously, they didn't mention those cables. And I can't really say why that is. I'm operating on about 3 hours of sleep, and I didn't know up until right before this was happening that I was going to be talking, so please forgive me if I come off a little bit rough. The information that was allocated to me via instant messenger was that information had been downloaded to cables, essentially a whole fracking lot of cables, more cables, cables in this case being an anachronism for the diplomatic version of email, had been downloaded onto a computer in Iraq that had then used another route to submit them to WikiLeaks. Is there anybody here in this audience that thinks that they could go through 250,000 multi-page documents that contain classified information about diplomacy throughout the world and say for certain that it's not going to cost anybody's life? Anyone?
Maybe the whole crowd. WikiLeaks does that.
I don't see any hands, but the lights are kind of bright. In that case, I felt compelled. Compelled, I don't believe, is too strong a word.
What did you feel compelling? In what way did you feel people would put at risk?
There are a number of ways in which that information could put people at risk. The State Department is involved in a number of intelligence operations throughout the world. They're not supposed to be, but they're looking out for the interests of Americans. And